Kia ora, koutou katoa, talofa lava. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Healthy, Wealthy, and Living Pono for entrepreneurs, CEOs, and sales leaders, where we explore the keys to unlocking your highest potential and living a life of joyful, peaceful prosperity. I'm Bianca Iono, an alignment guide and business alchemist, here to help you find harmony between health, wealth, and purpose. Now, I specialize in working with high performers and entrepreneurs, helping them break through barriers in revenue, profit, and inner peace. I work with my clients to help them increase their instinctive clarity, release the pressure to perform, and unleash their genius into the world with effortless certainty. I'd like to invite you to visit www.onealignedentrepreneur.com/gifts for a powerful visualization track that will give you a taste of this transformative journey into your wholeness. Remember, you're not a human doing, but a human being, a conscious creator of your reality with limitless potential. So let's create holistic success on your terms without sacrificing what's really important to you. So today on episode 2, I really want to dive into, my journey with sales and share with you my love of sales, especially when it's filled and aligned to the energy of effortless sales, but also the key pivotal ingredients that relating to sales helps you achieve when you've found this balance, when you are aligned to your highest potential, your highest version of you, when you are really congruent with the things you say and the things you promise and the things that you deliver, when you are really walking your talk, it opens up this beautiful connection or intersection of integrity. And integrity isn't just about you having morals or having ethics. Integrity is also about the solid foundations of your business. When you have integrity, when you're operating out of integrity, this is what really sets you up for sustainability. It really helps you create this perpetual motion in your business that makes things fun, creates yourself, it allows your effortless genius to flow out. And this is where we really discover harmony. So when you are in alignment with your highest self, when you're congruent with the world around you, you're in integrity, you are acting in harmony, it means that you're opened up to, in the Polynesian term is mana. So your respect, your power, your authority, you are a conduit for this power, for your modi, the life force that channels through you. And when you are living pono, you are living within righteous balance with the world around you. And, I really, really discovered a love for delving into this. It was actually a lot later on in my entrepreneurial journey, and actually after I gave birth to my triplets. So I was doing a lot of sales consulting behind the scenes of 7- and 8-figure businesses. And, I was doing the sales myself. Like, I was right there in the trenches. And it was really cool because after I'd had my triplets, I was doing a lot of work in body confidence, in wellness for high-driven women. And once you have triplets, I kind of really felt like what my clients must have felt all this time, where, it just felt like the treadmill to life was just set a little bit too fast, where I was just always trying to catch up. I was just always trying to catch my breath. And couldn't really quite get into my speed. So I didn't want to hold space for anybody else going through their own body issues. But a friend reached out and I started doing some sales for other people. And it was really great to be part of a bigger movement, something that was bigger than just me. And I could lend my strength behind without actually having to be responsible for the marketing and the delivery. So, but what happened over, as I started picking up different engagements, I was the salesperson And sales is really the lifeblood of your business. And so I'm there where I'm sort of touching all parts of the business. I'm in tune with the marketing, ensuring that the messaging is in alignment. I'm having conversations with people who are receiving the marketing, helping them, guide them through, midwife them through this decision of whether or not they want to join and commit to, a high ticket program. And then I'm also in talks with the CEO, and I'm in talks with the delivery team as well. So you really get quite a holistic view of what's going on. And I guess what happens is that, I have been operating and helping people with their being out of integrity with their bodies, and talking about their own health and wellness, and how their approach to business had been sacrificing their health and wellness. And now I'm coming in as sales, and I can't just stop looking at it. I can't just it's like ringing a bell. Once you see these things, you can see them really clearly and accurately. And I actually found that it damaged my level of conviction in actually selling. So the really magnetic, the really alluring, anyone who's good at selling something are good at conveying conviction. And so what I found was that it eroded away my own personal belief in the integrity of the delivery, the integrity of the CEO. And it's not because they're bad people. I did come across people who are bad people. But on the most part, people aren't trying to create harm or trying to do the wrong thing. But there is a lack often of vulnerability in wanting to look at the hard things. And that's what I really found, is that me as the salesperson, the CEOs weren't necessarily interested in, what was going on, because I could see that their personal relationship, their personal energy, the goals that they created for their business, the way that they implemented it, the hungriness, the striving, this was at the root of their issues. And it's not like let's fix this thing and now let's make $1 million. It doesn't work that way. What normally happens is we make $1 million and then everything comes crashing around behind it. And that's what I just kept on seeing over and over again, the way that these CEOs were relating to sales and then using their sales energy to drive the growth of their business, had little chinks in the armor, had little splinters of integrity. And along the way, as they progressed, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, they created chasms of consequence down the track, so that, there's mass burnout, not being able to speak to your team for months because you've got chronic fatigue, suicidal ideation, mass refund requests, lawsuits, nervous breakdowns. A lot happens, marriage breakdowns. And for those who are willing to investigate and are hypersensitive and aware to those little niggles of integrity, their growth trajectory will be slower at the start, but over time, they will gain speed and momentum, because they have really ensured that the integrity of the vessel that they are creating and leading is top notch. They are tuned into higher frequencies of thought processes. I just was in a ceremony recently, and it was quite life-changing what the Native American elder Rudy was sharing. And he was saying, you'll never find this in a book, but Western culture operates at a frequency of 1260. I don't know if he means hertz, but 1260 was the number he said. And it's all about good, bad, right, or wrong. Whereas Native culture operates at a resonance of 1320. And I guess that's talking about it is what it is. I guess that's talking about seeing the give and the take outside of this paradigm of honoring somebody's, I guess, I guess, allowing people to lead with their ego unchecked and lead with their woundedness unchecked, as opposed to driving or growing something with a view that there's an interconnectedness of all things. So I was looking at the sales and looking at the interconnectedness of all these departments, and the CEOs are kind of just going, no, how do I just like make the money, get to the goal, make sure people are happy for sure, without really stopping and investigating the cost with which they were choosing to grow their business, and the little niggles along the way. And, you know, we talk a lot about success being something that you have to work hard at, and you have to be really strong to be successful. And I think people miss this point, you know, preaching mental toughness is actually brittle. When you are preaching mental toughness, you don't have this flexibility, this suppleness, this ability to pivot and change. And it actually requires a lot more strength to be vulnerable, to be more open, to be willing to go slower at times, to make sure you get everything right, to make sure that you're crossing the T's, dotting the I's. And, you know, like these dudes, often it's dudes, sometimes it's ladies, but, you know, mansplaining to me about how I should be making more money, working faster, doing things, being more successful. And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, and it happens. I see it happen 3 months down the track, 6 months, 12 months. I'm like, you're fucking miserable. You know, you're cheating on your wife. Yeah, I saw that. I can read between the lines. That's the thing with, like, when you're really highly intuitive and sensitive, you read between the cracks. And, you know, I mean, look, I still know that there's people that I've put on pedestals, and myself in a pit, and they weren't deserving of that, and neither was I. So it's not like I see everything. I've got my own blind spots. But so many times things come out of the woodwork later on, and I'm like, you just didn't get that I was coming from a more tribal perspective, meaning that I'm taking in more people's progress, journey, health, wisdom, and I'm not willing to sacrifice my own integrity in the pursuit of this perverted version of success that you've got going on there. So this is why I'm really passionate about talking about sales leadership archetypes. So it is I have a sales empowerment pyramid, and it is a journey to go through these different levels of empowerment. And I think we cycle through them all the time, because there are gifts and there are shadows within each archetype that play up at different times in different areas of our lives. But the 4 archetypes that I categorize these levels in, at the bottom of the pyramid is the overgiving savior. This is a difficult, this is a big healing journey, the overgiving savior, because this is often the wounded healer or the martyr. And the part, or, you know, if you're leading with the overgiving savior, it means that you've been really people-pleasing, you're really connected into your feminine intuition and your heart-centered caring and your emotion. But because you're so used to giving to others to make yourself feel empowered and feel valued, it means that you operate outside of your authority. And in sales, it means like you're treating yourself as a commodity. So there's nothing different to somebody buying from you, somebody else, somebody, you know, each market stall down the street, right? It could just be, you know, selling, I can buy a capsicum from that shop or that shop. And often the wounded healer is motivated by looking after others so they don't have to look at their own shit, right? And I mean, we all know that we do this at times in different areas of our lives. But when you're using this as your energy, the sales leader, to lead your sales and the growth of your business, you'll really be in a very sticky trajectory in terms of your profit and the revenue that you generate, because sales will feel awkward. Sales will feel like you're taking. There's also a lot of, I guess, poverty consciousness because so for so many healers, we have this witch wound, especially for women, where we try not to, in the past, we've been burned at the stake for giving our healing powers away, or, for being a witch, which means, I'd be crucified for this conversation right now, right? Women aren't meant to have this level of empowered opinion. But yeah, if you're using that over giving, you'll find yourself with a lack of boundaries. You'll find yourself over delivering, undercharging, and as a result, you won't be taking enough money home for yourself. So there are some really core, deep wounds. Sometimes, because we often at this stage, there's a part of us, whether it was past lives, whether it's in this lifetime, that something around the healing version of you if you make that visible, it makes you susceptible to public ridicule, to humiliation. There are some real big blocks around being visible, and it not being safe to shine. So this is when sales will feel really clunky. When the overgiving savior can heal their martyr, heal their wounded healer, and realize that, sales is a system that can be learned and can be authentic to you, but B, realize because I serve, then I deserve. They realize there's this new level of higher frequency of serving that is the archetype of the dedicated advocate. The dedicated advocate is the part that it's like you don't go and rescue somebody who's drowning, right? Like, because they might pull you down. Rather, you make sure you get them a life jacket, call for help. You ensure that your safety stays put, so that you aren't sacrificing yourself in the process. So the overgiving savior, if you're using this to drive the growth of your trajectory of your business, you're really going to keep yourself small. You'll find it hard to charge premium prices. You'll get friend zoned. You'll have really soulful conversations with people and then get friend zoned. They turn into new friends who don't buy, and you'll get ghosted a lot. The next level of, and so the way that you move forward is understanding and mastering the art of powerful boundaries, drawing those powerful boundaries for yourself, protecting yourself, and recognizing that it's not what you give up for others that makes you valuable. It's the space that you hold for them, the space that you take up for them, who you can be for them, that is the most valuable. So the next level of empowerment is the hustling warrior. So the hustling warrior is really connected into the masculine energy. So it's all about forcing, pushing, hustling. This version of sales doesn't have enough of the feminine, allowing, heart-centeredness. Because the hustling warrior is so connected to the outcome, they neglect the journey. They think that the outcome, the destination, is the true definition of success. And so they neglect the enjoyment of the journey along the way. When you're in this space, the difficult part here is that, the warrior doesn't know when to stop. So the warrior will constantly move the goalposts. The warrior will also, the hustling warrior, there's like an element of trying to be a shapeshifter as well. So the shadow archetypes here are the trickster and the saboteur. So the trickster is the part of you that thinks you have to be something else. It's like you're so confident, so cocky that the thing that you've got is the thing that the other person needs, or so kind of driven by scarcity and, this like anxious busyness that you're willing to move out of your center. You're willing to be out of your integrity. And this kind of looks like you make sales and then you have to manage a lot of expectations afterwards. Or you make sales that are like, you just sell somebody what they'll buy, not what you really want to sell, not what is the highest purpose for both of you. the lowest, like if somebody is really hooked into their masculine and their direction, their outcome, and their authority, and really coming from a place of authority, like I know better than you, this is when there will be lots of refund requests, really burning and churning through leads and clients. Clients don't refer, and there can be lawsuits, there can be mass refund requests, class actions. I've seen it all. So when you really surrender into allowing and trusting in, the natural flow of the universe. So the hustling warrior, the overly masculine way of doing sales, which is what we've always been taught. This dude will, this is the part where it's kind of like, I just used this as an example the other day. Imagine riding a bike and you use your quadriceps to push down, you use your hamstrings to pull up, and there's always that little free flow where it's just spinning, it's just free fall. I guess if you think about an anti-clockwise clock going from 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, let's say your quads do all that pulling, and then from 5, 4, 3, 2, then that's your hamstrings do that pulling. Sorry, pushing for quads, pulling for hammies. And then there's like 2, 1, back to 12. That's the free fall. So when you're in this hustling warrior, you're trying to push the whole entire revelation, and then there's just this collapse. This is where the burnout and fatigue pendulum happens. Hustle, burnout, hustle, exhausted. And people just live their whole lives thinking that that's just how things go. The way that you escape this is, firstly, you need to embody the archetype of the trusted advisor. So the trusted advisor is the part where you have a really high intention for the person, you have the best interests at heart, but you have a really low attachment to whether or not they take that choice. It's very, very alluring. It's a very magnetic quality to want somebody's sale, want somebody as a client, but not need them. And from this place, that's when somebody says, I don't know, what do you think? And you can give them your honest assessment on what you actually think is best for them. So when you can become the trusted advisor, that's then when you're able to become the visionary leader. So the visionary leader has to gain somebody's trust before you can future pace a reality that for somebody to follow you along with, right? So instead of just running into battle with your sword, raised, and then going, oh my God, it's like running into battle and then nobody follows you. Imagine if that awesome scene with Mel Gibson, Braveheart, and, he just ran in and nobody followed him. No, you've got to really be this place of people need to trust you, as well as you need to have a vision that is greater than the one that they have for themselves, because they can't actually even see it from where they're sitting. That's how sacred you should be holding this journey, this transformational journey that you take somebody through in a sales conversation. Not just that, but also the vision that you hold for somebody as a CEO of the business, of the overall transformation that your business provides. The big thing with the hustling warrior is like the art of surrender, the art of allowing, of realizing that there is a push, but there has to be a pull. And then there's also a place of free floating. And if you don't create that trust within yourself, you will always be living this place of anxiety, creating from your angst instead of creating from your desire and from your power. It's like worrying is like praying about what you don't want to happen. It's like worrying are like your silent prayers. So that's what happens when you're in this place of not trusting. You only create a contracted version of success. You only create a version of success that comes at a cost of some level of your inner peace, of your happiness, of your joy, of your laughter. This is where I see the majority of people that come to me are in this space. The majority of people who've really created an established business, but they've hit a income ceiling, a growth ceiling, they are in this warrior zone, because often the mentors that have been leading them are just a different version of them, but they might have a few more little places in their magnetic flow, but they just can't teach it, and they can't really lead by example enough to help people get through it, because they haven't actually gotten through it themselves. Now, the third level, so there's 4 levels. The third level is the evolving princess. And I see a lot of my peers, I'm still in a journey of the evolving princess. I see a lot of my peers in this, and this is the part where we've already created a level of success. We already have that alignment, we already have that congruence, but there's this next level of integrity, harmony, and flow that it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube, right? You can have, you've almost cracked the code. You've got everything solved except for like the last 2 squares, but that doesn't mean you're 2 squares away. It means you have to unpack all of it, unwind all of it, and start from scratch. And that's what happens when you're in the evolving princess. This is actually about owning your authority, but kind of through a journey of humility. It's actually vulnerability that helps the evolving princess awaken up to her power. So a piece here is, and it's almost like she has to go back down to the overgiving savior, back down to the hustling warrior, clean up the parts of her that have made her kind of hide up in her tower. She's comfortable. She's got this life of privilege. She has a proven process. She's got good reputation in the industry, in her expertise. She's sought out for expertise, but there's a cap. There's something missing. There's a new calling that's like her heart is yearning to step into. And the shadow archetype here is the damsel in distress. It's like the part of the princess who's waiting for somebody to come and give her permission to step up into a new level of existence. And like there's a dormant power inside that she is still deferring to the patriarchy, the king, waiting for the handsome prince to come and rescue her, for, let down her hair so he can climb up it. No. If we are to really undo the harmful effects of a patriarchal way of selling, we have to own a matriarchal way, which is when we are the queen. Like, there's a reason why the queen on the chessboard has so much more power. When you think about women in general, we actually harness so much more creative power than men, because we can bring life to the world. I mean, we can't do it without men, but we are the channels for literal human beings to come into the world. So we have to own our queendom. And I believe that when you go through that, real humble eating pie of trying new things out, of being vulnerable. Actually, all my clearing today, all my emotional clearing chart was all about vulnerability. When you are ready to risk what you've built up and perhaps look silly in the process, but lean into magic, lean into the non-physical. So you've got lots of creature comforts in the physical, but maybe it still feels a little bit hollow on the inside. And the invitation is for you to uncover the non-physical worlds and the intangible. And this is really allows you to step into the archetype of the wise sage. So from your experience, from the wisdom that has been gathered through the journeys that you've traversed, now you have all the, the humility and the heart-centeredness of the savior, who's now the empowered, dedicated advocate. Now you have all the resilience and the fierceness of the warrior, but you've also got the trusted advisor and the visionary leader. Now you have all the magic of the wise sage wielding that power. This is when you step up into the penultimate of the liberating sales queen. So this is when you are really acting, and you're driving the growth of your business from this place of like, how can you make the world a better place? You are leading movements. You are a movement maker. You have a fast, seamless system that operates at scale. You live in a level of peaceful prosperity. It's not like the horrible queen, the terrible, wicked queen of the West. It's this, benevolent, generous, tender-hearted queen who makes the hard decisions, but leads her people into this level of peace and prosperity and abundance. There is one more sales archetype that I really lean into, and I actually find that some of my colleagues who specialize in the same field, we operate at this level, and it's almost like this is an inverted little piece of a triangle on top of the sales empowerment pyramid. So imagine you've got a triangle, and then you have an inverted triangle, and this is where I really feel like it's a high priestess archetype. So this is where we are playing a much bigger galactic game, a multi-dimensional game. We're operating on I guess, kind of like behind the scenes of really big organizations and helping infiltrate more wellness, more magic, more sensitivities, and operating and impacting, masses of lives because we are doing our magic in the background. Denise Duffield Thomas was one of my clients that was an example of this, where, she's like, the work I was doing with her was helping hundreds of thousands of her followers and helping them escape their own money blocks. It's work that I really hold near and dear, and I really hold the reverence of it. So honored to be a part of it. So this is like, when you have the growth trajectory of, the hustling warrior, it's kind of feast or famine income. When you have the growth trajectory of the evolving princess, it's stable, but it's stuck. When you are really, owning that liberating queen, it's infinite, it's exponential. You start really working your abundance in many ways, in different communities, in a more global context. And I do believe that the universe rewards you in kind because you're taking on a greater risk. There's less selfish. It's like the savior sacrifices herself, but the liberating queen, it's like she still lives in this luxury. She really understands her power. So she selfishly seeks her own joy, but she knows the difference between selfish, like the level of self-care that's different to being selfish, that's different to being selfless. There's a beautiful integration between the two that really, really empowers and supports people. So if you want to know what you're operating at, this is where I do so many of my energetic alignment clearing sessions. You can firstly go to www.onealignedentrepreneur.com/quiz to find out what your main leadership archetype that's operating at the moment and your keys to unlocking them. But I use this a lot in my energetic alignment sessions to really help you create a blueprint to see what you've been relying on, where the actual emotional, energetic blocks are, how we can get you aligned to your highest purpose, and also what are some of the things that we need to discard to help you become more congruent. And it doesn't mean that you're being a charlatan. It means that where are you making things harder than they need to be? Where can you invite more effortless flow into your business? Where can you lean into more allowing so that the effort that you're putting in, the forceful push that you're putting in, it has its own momentum that carries on long past the time that you're giving active attention to it, to growing it. So if you want to find out more about that, do the quiz, but also just come and apply for a consult. Go to onealignedentrepreneur.com/consult And yeah, we can just have a quick chat and find out what is a good step for you, if it's right for you. But yeah, just love to hear what you think, what aha moments, what insights. And yeah, just know that when you can really harness your liberating sales queen. So at any point, you can still go straight from savior up to sales queen. You can go from a hustling warrior into warrior queen. You can go from, the changes can be really, like, the further that you go along this journey, the smaller the pendulums are, the faster the course corrections are, the greater the trajectory upwards is, in a holistic, perpetual, sustainable, and with perpetual motion, that kind of a way. So yeah, it's one of those things that the cost of being out of alignment is far, far, far greater than the cost of getting into alignment. I worked with the sales team just for a few sessions. I think I did like 4 training sessions over the course of a month. Their sales team went from 27% conversion rate to 43% conversion rate. In that month alone, they made an extra $200,000. $200,000 that month alone. Now, of course, I wasn't working with the CEO. I was only working with the sales team. And then the CEO ended up having some problems with the lead, the digital agency. So the lead flow all went kaput. Again, energy. Again, I wasn't working with the CEO. But you can think about if that was able to continue on. 43% is a beautiful ratio, and it's very achievable. So yeah, just like open yourself up to the possibilities of what would need to align itself, what would need to let go, what would you need to let go of for you to invite more spaciousness in and creating from stillness. How could you create more abundance by doing less? That is the $1 million question. Look forward to speaking with you again soon. Make sure you check out the website, the links below. Kakatet, speak to you soon. Namihi nui. Thank you so much. And kia patura. Have a beautiful day.